Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Timey-Wimey Tuesday Doctor Who Blu-ray update. Well, it's been a while since I did an update covering the various Blu-ray releases of the Doctor Who collection, the collection of the classic series that they've been putting out for the past few years. As you know, I've been collecting them and enjoying them immensely. And, well, I picked up some of the latest ones, but I think I might be slightly shifting my focus as to how I collect them going forward. What do I mean? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Well, first off, I guess we'll start off with one of the more recent releases, and I'll kind of work my way back a little bit, I think. Picked up Tom Baker, The Complete Season 4, which is season 12, 13, 14, season 15 overall. Very nice. So this has The Horror of Fang Rock, The Invisible Enemy, Image of the Fendal, The Sunmakers, Underworld, and The Invasion of Time. The Horror of Fang Rock, of course, is kind of the swan song for the Gothic horror era. It's technically Graham Williams' first story as producer, but it definitely feels like a Philip Hinchcliffe story, and would fit right in with the Gothic horror themes of seasons 13 and 14. And it's always been a favorite, and also notable, and it's the first time we ever see the Rutons, the aliens that the Sontarans have been fighting forever and a day. The Invisible Enemy, I always had a bit of a soft spot for that one. I love the old trope of, you know, some virus in a body that you have to miniaturize your heroes to go into the body and fight the virus. So it's kind of the Doctor Who version of that. Image of the Fendal, I've seen, and I can't remember anything about it. So don't have anything to say about that. You know, there's like certain stories you just forget for some reason. Yeah, this season has a couple of them. Maybe that says something. The Sunmakers, one that I really didn't appreciate as much when I was a kid, but I love as an adult, because the whole thing is like Robert Holmes' bitingly scathing satire of taxation, essentially. The evils of taxes and stuff like that. So that's a fun one. Underworld is probably one of the most, it seems to be one of the most loathed stories in the classic era, simply because it's kind of boring, I guess. Also, a lot of people complain about the CSO, like the chroma key work in it. I never had a problem with janky chroma key in Doctor Who. To me, that's always been part of the charm. But yeah, for me, I don't know if I would say boring. I thought Underworld was kind of okay the last time I watched it, but again, don't really remember much. It just kind of like went right out of the memory. And then finally we have The Invasion of Time, which has one of the most lackluster and no lead up to it whatsoever companion departures ever of, you know, one of the most beloved companions ever, Leela. Yeah, she did not get a great send-off in that. But the story itself I've always had a bit of a soft spot for, because you have these wonderful, janky tinfoil aliens that are, you know, and there's some kind of weird plot with the Doctor and stuff, and there's Gallifrey involved, and the Sontarans show up, and there was a big industrial strike in the middle of production, so they had to do half the show on location. So you have them running around these steam tunnels, calling it the interior of the oh, it's an unused part of the TARDIS, that's why it looks like old steam tunnels. Yeah, you got to work real hard to suspend the disbelief on that, but for me, that's just part of the fun, and I've always had a bit of a soft spot for that one, just for how kind of ridiculous that whole story is. It's just fun. But anyway, if we take a little closer look at it here, just angle the TARDIS nicely. There we go. So if you want to take a a closer peek at that, you can. So there you go. As usual, we have a nice shot of the Doctor and a nice little collage of enemies and characters from the stories in this particular season. And then if we flip it around, you can get a quick look at all of the extras on the back there. I'll just quickly go over it with you. So we got updated special effects for the Horror of Fang Rock. We got a brand new exclusive to Blu-ray making of the Horror of Fang Rock. We got a feature-length tribute to Graham Williams, the producer of 3 seasons of 1970s Doctor Who. This was his first, and then we had seasons 16 and 17. We got In Conversation, Matthew Sweet chats to Louise Jameson. Those are great, by the way, because they're feature-length and often quite in-depth. 6 new Behind the Sofas. Brand new short film made to promote the Blu-ray release, where we have, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's Leela on Gallifrey. We got 5.1 surround sound for Horror of Fang Rock. Horror of Fang Rock, they really went all out for that one because I knew that's the one fan favorite on here. New audio commentaries from Tom Baker, PDF archive of scripts and rare material, and a whole bunch of stuff from the original DVDs. So yeah, not a bad selection of stuff. Now, before we get to the other sets I got, there's something that's always bugged me about the releases that we get here in North America. Well, a couple things. First off, the packaging. It's very minimal. It's just a basic ass keep case, no insert, and the disc art is the same on all of them, right? It's not much to look at. So, 2023 was, of course, the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. And in part, to celebrate that, one of the season sets they decided to put out was another anniversary season, namely season 20. Now, season 20 was, of course, the one that gave us the 5 Doctors, you know, one of the greatest Doctor Who anniversary specials ever made. But the season in general was just kind of a, you know, whole big celebration of all things Doctor Who. And that year, I remember, I was still pretty new to being a Doctor Who fan. I'd only been watching the show consistently for about 3 years. And I'd only just learned about there being multiple Doctors and things like that. So I was still quite new to the whole thing. But I gotta say, even as a new fan, it was pretty apparent what a massive celebration it was for the 20th anniversary, just generally speaking. So I thought, you know, it's kind of a special season, so let's go all out. And this time, instead of waiting for the North American release with the crummy artwork and the same artwork for everything and the crummy packaging, let's get the limited edition version of season 20. So this is the UK edition. This is the kind they get for all the seasons over there. They put them out in these limited edition versions, and then later they put out a smaller, scaled down standard edition, which is not limited. But a couple of significant differences with these. First off, we have this big J card. Let's set that aside for the moment. And check this out. I'm going to do a proper closer look at some point, but in the meantime, we'll just give you a quick look from afar here. So we got this. First off, we have different story-specific artwork for every story. And every version of every story. I mean, it's fantastic. But it doesn't end there. You get additional artwork on the inside. You open this up. You get more artwork on the inside. You open this up. Oh, you have like a massive thick book. You got ads for other Doctor Who stuff. And you got the TARDIS control room for that particular season. Every season has this. So, you know, the TARDIS control room would change over the years, so each season set has that season's TARDIS control room in a fold-out display like that. And then in the book, this is not an insignificant book. So you have not only the contents of every disc listed, but you get little essays about the making of each story. And not just a little paragraph. No, this is like several pages of essays. It's like a freaking Criterion set, honestly. Like the level to which these are deluxe is phenomenal compared to what we get here. Like, there's just no comparison. There's no comparison. And if we go here, we got, yeah, this is the 5 Doctors. This actually has 3 cuts of the 5 Doctors on it. One of which, the 1983 broadcast version. So I remember the original VHS release was actually cut down, oddly. And then they did the special edition in 1995, which, you know, put in a whole bunch of additional footage and redid some of the effects. Well, this has the 40th anniversary edition as well. So get this. The 40th anniversary edition of the 20th anniversary special released for the 60th anniversary. Now that's marketing. So, yeah, and it has all the extras from the previous releases and, you know, tons of stuff about that. And it's also got lots of things about Longleat, the big celebration they had at Longleat Castle, which turned out to be one of the biggest Doctor Who events of all time. They were not prepared for how many people showed up at that thing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in an upcoming update because I got some additional stuff about that celebration. So, yeah, all kinds of cool stuff in here. I'm going to do a proper in-depth closer look, and I'll give you, like, super macro vision looks at all of this stuff another time. But for now, we're just going to kind of do the update. So, yeah, so basically, just on the packaging alone, it's so much nicer to get these big sets. And just to give you the full comparison here, let me show you, I'll just put this here for the moment. Well, let me show you this one here. So this is a standard edition. This is typical of the standard editions. This is season 12, so Tom Baker's first season. This was sent to me by Little Retro Rocker a while back because the version we got in North America actually had one of the extras removed for some kind of rights clearance reasons. Specifically one that was called Doctor Who Times, which was basically all about just the era that the show was on, and you know, news articles and so forth. So sorry, I'm just like not even telling you what it is. So we get a nice little slip box. Get this. Proper season numbers as well. Oh look, and we got a nice picture of the TARDIS on the back. We didn't even get that here. And then inside, once again, story by story artwork, and we get a booklet. It's just, and an autographed picture of Tom Baker. It's not as robust a book as you get in the limited editions. I think it mainly just goes through the contents. Yeah, it's really just a list of the contents of the disc. So you lose the essays, but you get the disc contents. We don't even get that. We don't even get, like, I'll show you what we got originally. Again, for the purposes of comparison. So when we got the Tom Baker set here, first off we got it in a slimmer case. Like that. Oh, we got a one-page insert with the contents on it, and that's it. I mean, that's better than nothing. That's something. But it's not as good as getting a full booklet, you know, with more detailed, and then again, same artwork on all the discs. Just so lazy. So, that got me to thinking, do I really want to keep investing in these North American sets when they are such lackluster presentations? Oh, this originally came with a slipcover as well. I do have that, but I took it off because I still kept it, but I took it off because they only gave us like 2 or 3 slipcovers before they stopped even giving us those. Like, they just keep scaling it down, scaling it down. First they took the inserts away. We only had them in the first couple of sets. And then they took the slipcovers away, so we didn't even get that. Anyway, let's quickly go through the contents of Season 20, the limited edition, which is beautiful. So there's the front cover there, which looks very nice. And then if we spin it around here, let's give you a look at the back. And then we'll quickly go over the extras as listed on the back there. But the thing is, I mean, that's not even close to all the extras. But just to give you an idea, we got the Five Doctors 40th Anniversary Restoration, brand new restoration of the original 1983 Anniversary Special with HD film material, updated special effects for 2023, new 5.1 soundtrack, and multiple audio commentaries. Brand new updated special effects for Snake Dance and Enlightenment, documentaries exclusive to Blu-ray covering Arc of Infinity and the King's Demons. Look Who's Driving, a European road trip adventure with Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, and Sarah Sutton. That is a lot of fun, by the way. Brand new featurettes, including an interview with Martin Clunes, and In Conversation, Matthew Sweet chats to Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton. And lots of stuff that was previously on DVD. So, pretty robust set. Now, in terms of the contents, you get all the same contents on the North American set, right? But you really don't get the packaging. And I mean, to me, the main reason I got this, as I said, was because it's Season 20, and that's always been kind of special to me. So I wanted to get the big deluxe edition. But when I did that, I didn't realize how much better these are. Not just for the packaging, though. Also for the picture quality. Because the North American sets are converted to 30 frames per second from the original PAL 25 frames per second. But not quite. It's 30 progressive frames per second, so it's been deinterlaced at the source level. Whereas the British releases are put out at 1080i, 25 frames per second, but 25 interlaced frames per second, which means if you watch it on a compatible monitor and through a player that will actually interpolate the fields properly, such as Media Player Classic, it actually runs at 50 frames per second, which means even on a non-interlaced display like we all have now, it still preserves that video look. So it looks much more accurate to how it would have appeared on an old CRT television by maintaining the frame rate. We lose that on the NTSC version because they've converted it to NTSC. And I don't know why. It's Blu-ray. Blu-ray can handle multiple frame rates. But I guess the problem is, much like with DVD, it's not just about region coding, it's also about video format. So like you can't play PAL DVDs on an NTSC only DVD player even if it's a region free disc. Now, first off, these are region free, so you don't got to worry about region coding. What you do need to worry about is whether or not your player can handle PAL format video. Most modern players can. I know, for example, I can play it on my PS4 and my PS5 and my Blu-ray player and my 4K player, but I can't play it on my PS3. Go figure. Anyway, seeing the difference that the 1080i presentation made when played through Media Player Classic, running at a glorious 50 frames per second, compared to the 30 frames per second of the NTSC North American releases, that was the final straw for me. I'm like, okay, I mean, not only is the packaging gorgeous, but this looks so damn good compared to the North American release. So the next set to come out, I'm sure not too coincidentally, early 2024, was the next big anniversary season, Season 25, which is another big favorite of mine. And I thought, well, given that it's another big anniversary season, why don't we get the limited edition of that too? And I was kind of curious to see how it would look after, you know, singing the praises of 1080i and 50 frames per second. This season was shot entirely on video. So I thought, well, if any season is going to benefit from that bump up in quality of having the 50 frames per second playback, it's going to be season 25. Well, specifically seasons 23, 24, 25, and 26, because they were all shot exclusively on video. Yeah, so I got the limited edition of that for this. Of that for this. Great phrasing there. So let's just take a quick peek at the cover there. So there we see good old Doctor Number 7, Sylvester McCoy, and a bevy of monsters and villains from the season. Now this season, of course, has Remembrance of the Daleks, and Silver Nemesis, and the Happiness Patrol, and the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Overall, a pretty strong season. Most people, a lot of people don't care for the Happiness Patrol. I like it, alright, it's fine. Silver Nemesis is technically the 25th anniversary story, and it is treated as such in the extras and all the promotional material. But I always felt like Remembrance of the Daleks was the real anniversary story, because it just has so many more callbacks to classic Doctor Who than Silver Nemesis does. So I don't know why they didn't just call that the anniversary story, honestly. Greatest Show in the Galaxy is just brilliant, especially if you like scary clowns. Yeah, and the great thing about this set is, and they did this with a lot of the, with most of the Sylvester McCoy sets, I think, and I think from season 23 onward, this was mostly the case. They've got extended editions of all 4 stories, because they have all the original footage from them. So they did extended versions of all 4 stories, and honestly, I think some of them play better in the extended versions just because they don't have those time constraints that broadcast television would normally have, and they can actually let the story breathe a little more. In particular, I have to say, the Happiness Patrol really benefited from that. It almost has enough material to make it a 4-part story, honestly, and all that additional material really helps. Adds a lot. I felt much the same way about the extended version of Paradise Towers, which I know is another one fans don't like. It's from season 24. But I've always had a soft spot for it as a bit of just sort of dark, weird satire. But yeah, anyway, we'll take a quick look at the back there. Quite a lot more contents listed on this one. So, yeah, so as you can see, we have exclusive special editions of all stories featuring untransmitted scenes, updated special effects, and optional 5.1 surround sound. This season was also the first season that was broadcast in stereo, so definitely a more robust soundtrack in this one than we'd ever had in Doctor Who before. Updated special effects on all 4 broadcast versions. 3 in-conversation specials. Matthew Sweet reunites with Sophie Aldred to talk about her history with Doctor Who. Also joining Matthew is Andrew Cartmel, the script editor responsible for much of the tone of the 7th Doctor era, and Chris Clough, director of 5 stories and a leading industry figure. Behind the Sofa, 4 new episodes with an all-star lineup of classic Doctor Who guests. The Making of Silver Nemesis, the rare 1988 documentary, only ever available on VHS. Quick note about that, it is mostly uncut, but it's still missing the segment with, I think it was Peter Howell. There was like an archival segment in the original broadcast version with Peter Howell talking about doing music for, in that case, Resurrection of the Daleks, the 5 Doctor story. And then we have Silver Nemesis, the VHS version, from the original master tapes, the extended VHS release. For a long time, that was the only version available until the DVDs came out. Looking for Dursley, a profile of actor Dursley McLinden. Exclusive archive treats, previously unavailable content from the BBC archives. Studio and location footage, hours of rare, previously unseen footage from the original studio and location tapes. That is one of my absolute favorite extras from these, by the way, and the Sylvester McCoy era especially, because they have so much of the original master footage, has hours upon hours of studio and location footage. It's literally just fly on the wall, you're watching raw footage of the studio recordings. And it really just gives you such a wonderful insight into the making of the show. Literally just sitting there watching them make the show. You see how different floor directors and directors work with the actors, or not. And certain stories you have a different vibe depending on the production crew and such. Like I remember watching the footage for Time and the Rani, Sylvester McCoy's first story. There's a real sense of tension and chaos and urgency and it didn't seem like a very happy set. It seemed like a very tense set. But everybody, you know, got the job done and did their best. But then you go to the next story, Paradise Towers, which, again, I know is very divisive. But you watch the raw footage for that, and everybody is having so much fun. Like, it's just so much more of a happy set, much more relaxed, and people are, you know, again, getting the job done, but having fun doing it. And that's important, I think, is to have a happy set, because that does come across on screen. Anyway, I love the studio footage stuff, and there's been a bunch of them. As we get later into the classic era, there's more of it available, and you see more and more available. And the nice thing about the Blu-ray is because there's not as much of a space concern as there were on the DVDs. A lot of the DVDs would have kind of cut-down versions of the studio footage. The Blu-rays just give you the whole works. Like, sometimes, I think, what is it, again, season 24, I think, had some of the most footage I've ever seen. Like, each story has like 4 or 5 hours of studio and location footage. So, I mean, it's something I would put on in the background to kind of watch, and then I'd check out, you know, the funnier bits or whatever. But I'm absolutely fascinated by stuff like that, because it really gives you a very, you know, up close and personal insight into the making of the show, because you see it all unfold more or less in real time. And see, you know, all the flubs, all the good takes, all the bad takes, and just everything that goes into setting up a scene, setting up a shot, finding, you know, working out character bits with the actors and things like that. It's just fascinating to me. At the time of this recording, I've actually been watching a series of extras called Behind the Curtain, which is from the Twin Peaks Z2A set, where you're just watching David Lynch directing each episode of Twin Peaks The Return. And it's about a half hour of fly-on-the-wall footage of them making the show. And I could watch 100 hours of that. You know, I'd be so happy just watching and seeing how they all work together to get to the heart of a scene or what have you. Well, the Doctor Who stuff is very similar to that, where it's just like you're there watching them make the show, and it's awesome. If you're at all interested in television production, especially like old-school television production, I cannot recommend those extras enough. And there's a lot of the Blu-ray sets have that. So then, the last, I guess I could have just finished reading these. We have immersive 5.1 surround sound on every episode, and that's both the broadcast and extended versions. Isolated music score on every story, PDF written archive of scripts and rare archive material, and of course, most, if not all, of the DVD extras as well. So, there you go. And I guess I forgot to tell you the stories that are on Season 20. I got so excited talking about the set. We have Arc of Infinity, Snake Dance, which is a sequel to, oh my god, Kinda. Modern Undead, which features the return of the Brigadier. There's a little thing. Terminus, Enlightenment, which is just a great story. Actually, Modern Undead, Terminus, and Enlightenment form what they call the Black Guardian trilogy, where we meet the Black Guardian for the first time since the Key to Time saga, actually. And Turlo, who's sent as an agent of the Black Guardian to kill the Doctor. And so that's a nice little trilogy, culminating in Enlightenment, which is just an absolute amazing standalone story. And I think there's like 2 or 3 versions of Enlightenment on here to enjoy. There's the King's Demons, and then, of course, the 5 Doctors, which has 3 versions and a butt-ton of extras. Butt-ton! So, there we go. Teleport! Hold on a second. Let's just move you over a smidge. There! Now you can see it. Okay. Sorry, battery died. I rambled too long. Yeah. Now, any Doctor Who collector will tell you they've probably bought the whole damn collection more times than they care to think about. And, well, and I know a lot of you have been saying this since the beginning, so I'd just like to say I'm sorry for not listening to you, alright? I should have listened, but I didn't, and here we are. My bad. However, it might turn out to be a blessing in disguise, because what I was thinking is, since I'm so enamored with these now, I kind of want those instead of these. So what I'm thinking is eBay, get as many of these as I can. A lot of them are hard to find and expensive now, so I probably won't be able to get all of them. But any that I can't get the standard ones to fill in the gaps. And then I've got the as many of the UK releases as possible in all their deluxe glory and superior quality that I can enjoy for all time. And that will absolutely be the last time I buy it. If they put out a 4K set, yeah, that's ridiculous. There's no reason for it to be on 4K. I mean, I've even said in the past Blu-ray is almost overkill because of, you know, I mean, most of the location footage was 16 millimeter. I mean, 16 millimeter, you don't get that much more quality with Blu-ray, but you do get much better quality in terms of the color and the encoding and things like that than you do on DVD. So they're able to do, I mean, there's no question that the Blu-rays look better than the DVDs, absolutely. But beyond that, I can't see them doing a 4K set or something because it would be pointless. Unless they were just dumping the Blu-ray contents onto some 4K discs to save disc space, you know what I mean? Kind of like what they're doing with a lot of shows now with SD on Blu-ray. We're seeing a lot more of that nowadays. So, I don't know. I'm quite content with the Blu-ray sets, but I mean, if I'm going to go, you know, full tilt boogie with the Blu-ray sets, I'd like to have the best Blu-ray sets that you can get. I just wish I had thought of that before. And one of the reasons I didn't was because I didn't import stuff as much back when they started putting out the collection sets. So, yeah, I mean, really, when I started can you see these? Yeah, when I started collecting these, the steelbooks of the animated collection, I really should have started doing the same with those. But even then, I was importing these from U.S. sellers who were bringing them in. It didn't even occur to me, Amazon UK ships anywhere in the world. They don't care where you are. And so these I just got through Amazon UK, just straight from them. So, I don't know. You live and learn, right? You're always learning new things as a collector. And now, with my new setup and everything, region coding isn't even a concern anymore. I can watch anything from anywhere in the world without any problems. So, even less reason for me to wait for the North American releases. Especially when the North American releases sometimes don't come out until like 9 months later. Like, what the hell is that? What is this, the 80s when we'd have to wait 2 years to get the current season on PBS? Like, come on. Anyway, that's where we're at with Doctor Who The Collection. And I know some of you are going to ask about Season 7 that just came out. Yes, I want it. And damn straight I'm getting the big set. There you go. I'll let you know when I do. Anyway, I guess those of you who may be watching my eBay listings for, you know, because I'm selling a lot of Mum's old collection and whatnot as well, probably going to throw some Doctor Who in there as well. So keep an eye out for that if there's anything there you want to add to your own collection. Yeah, plug. Always got to have a plug at the end, right? Anyway, that's it from me to you for now. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.